5 more ways owning a P2 Volvo is just different. First of all, if you haven't watched the preceding video, 5 ways owning a P2 Volvo is just different yet, pause this video right now and go watch that first video as it builds off of that one. Before I begin, I would like to say thank you so much for the incredible feedback on that video, by the way. I honestly gave maybe 3/4-assed effort into that video compared to my other serious videos, but so many people seem to have enjoyed the brutally honest comparison of the two cars and understand my sense of humor. Today I will be going over 5 more ways owning a P2 Volvo is just different from owning a Subaru Impreza, and again focusing more on the V70R, which is what I own. So these are some points I either missed in the first video that you guys pointed out in the comments, or some additional thoughts I've come up with throughout my ownership. Real quick before I start again, seems like almost all of you who watch my video are not subscribed, so be sure to subscribe, hit that bell, watch all my videos at least 20 times on 4 different devices, and like them and share them to every single one of your friends and family. Thanks for watching. The list starts out with the styling and design language of these two cars. Comparing super modded and hacked up builds won't be really fair, so I will only be comparing the style of stock and stock plus versions of these cars. Stock plus being slightly modified suspension and maybe aftermarket wheels. First, the Subi, and specifically the Hawkeye Impreza. It's a design that's really hard to hate, honestly, unless you already associate the entire car as a clump of assholes, in which case, fair enough. Anyway, this is a car where even the base model 2.5i looks really sporty and mean. From the factory, they have boxy, flared fenders like the Lancia Delta Integrale that make the car look super chunky, and the iconic hood scoops that the WRX and XTI have make the car look super aggressive. And who can forget this big ol' wangster on the STI that makes the car stand out from almost any other car in existence. I also do like the low-key WRX spoiler too, which was what I had in my ship box. Everything about this car is really loud and definitely not low-key, but it for sure gets you excited when you look at it. Even the wagons look like no other wagon on the market and are almost equally as capable as the sedans, sharing pretty much every feature other than maybe the chassis and tail lights. The STI's BBS wheels are perfect for performance. The iconic gold and even the Spec C Type RA's white NKs fit flawlessly with the looks and are obviously light as they are all fully forward. WRX NK wheels are cool with their 7-spoke design, and the 2.5 wheels are trash and everyone should throw them away. I wouldn't say the design's not dated, but it definitely looks like a mid to late 2000s car, as a lot of the car's lines are soft and rounded compared to the typical design language of today's cars, which have sharp and pointy lines. Now let's do a complete 180 about 15 times and take a look at the P2 V70. At a glance, these cars leave an impression that whoever's driving them is at minimum 46 years old and has a decent amount of social security money stocked up. To me, they look like they just sorta exist, minding their own business, whereas the Impreza looks like they want everyone's attention. The lines of the entire car is super smooth, like it was chiseled out from a single piece of masonry brick, and when you get to the R's, the simple, flat, 5-spoke wheels complement the minimal look of the design. The shoulder lines that go all the way from the hood to the back accentuate the width of the car. Also, fun random fact, the key fob has the exact same shoulder lines. Unlike the Hawkeye Imprezas with angry looking headlights that look like they will bite your shin and never let go, the P2s have sleek, thin eyes that judge everyone from a distance, actually quite similar to the first generation Imprezas. The unique and iconic gigantic taillights span almost the entire height of the rear, following the contours of the shoulder lines, and for some reason remind me of the Pokemon Yam Mecha. I would say these probably are the least subtle features of these cars. Like the STI and WRX, the Rs distinguish themselves from the lower trims as well, albeit subtly. In addition to the wheels, they have different bumpers, grills, roof spoilers that actually make a huge difference to the look of the rear and adds a whopping 5% more downforce than without one, according to the brochure. The R's ride height is lower to the point where there were actually cases where boomers who bought these cars ripped off the bumpers on those concrete parking curbs. I like to re-mention from the last video that clearly mine is a bit different than stock. I am lower on coilovers and these wheels are objectively and subjectively superior to the stock Pegasus wheels. I don't think it's really possible for anyone to come up with a legitimate excuse to why either car looks ugly, because in reality they really aren't, unless you really somehow managed to mess up these wheels and some other cosmetics. Personally, I like the smooth, simple panels of the R, but some may say it looks a bit boring, but maybe that is exactly the point. Tying back to one of my points in the first video, the Impreza appeals to a more younger demographic, the P2 appears to an older crowd. And this is exactly the perfect segue to the second reason why I think a P2 Volvo is different from an Impreza, and that is the attention received. When you go to any car meet, ricer meet, street takeover, whatever, with almost 100% confidence, you will find some sort of Impreza, WRX, or STI. As mentioned in my previous video, with the exception of the STIs, these cars have a reputation for being attainable performance cars with a huge following in the car community, and are in fact a lot of people's dreams cars, especially if there's younger car enthusiasts. When you see an Impreza for a split second on the road, you will recognize it. Even if you don't know anything about the cars, you will have an idea that there's something special going on with that car, whether it be from the wing, the hood scoop, or the iconic boxer rumble. Because this car is so easily recognized, it's easy for people to know more about it, like it, and give that car attention, whether it be genuinely admiring the build, fanboying and begging the owners to rev it, or negatively wanting the car to disappear from existence because of its obnoxiousness. The P2, just like with the design, seems to be completely the opposite case. People who have no knowledge of cars would think it's just a normal everyday wagon, completely unaware of the cult following they have within the car community. Even a lot of car enthusiasts don't know anything about the car. Again, they have the if you know, you know sort of status. This is exactly where these cars, mostly the R, get the sleeper reputation as well, having an unexpected performance while having a completely low-key look that flies right under people's radars. Personally, I've had completely different interactions with the people who came up to talk to me about my cars. For the Subi, it was typically another Subi owner wanting to talk about my exhaust, stuff breaking, and just chatting because we had the same car. Not a lot of people really care because they see them all the time and everywhere, but it could also be, and probably because my car wasn't that impressive, which it wasn't. The V70R on the other hand, there are a lot of people who glance over it thinking it's just another grandpa who decided to get a cup of coffee at Cars and Coffee, but from the people who know what it is, I hear a lot of comments about it being that sleeper, that one wagon. Compared to my Subi, I've had significantly more interactions with people coming up to talk about what it is, what engine's in it, if it has a turbo, etc. In some ways it gets more attention than the Subi, but it's a car you don't really see often, so masochists like myself who are into unreliable but unique cars are pretty interested in it. Sound and performance. I've mentioned the V70R as being a sleeper with unexpected performance, but does it actually have any performance? In modern standards, not really. It's heavy, it doesn't have much power, the auto's absolute dog shit, and it's so soft and quiet stock. Even when it came out, it wasn't the fastest car ever made either, since the R was supposed to be a competitor or an alternative to the E46 M3, which was significantly more performance focused. But for a car that size, you would never expect it to be any quicker than a semi-truck. I think it's plenty fast stock for what it is, with 300 metric horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque. The Subaru Impreza has like 16 horsepower, but it's light, so it feels quick as long as you floor it all the time. I do not have much experience with a WRX and an STI, but both have plenty of power, especially for the weight and size, and should be a very drivable amount of power. Comparing the STI and the R, the STI will obviously kick ass as it has the same amount of power while being about 1,000 pounds lighter. In terms of handling, I've never properly got to feel how the 4C was supposed to work when driving because my shocks were shot when I got the car. With coilovers, however, the car feels a lot lighter than with broken struts, but you can still feel significant amount of body roll and chassis flex when taking hard corners compared to an Impreza with coilovers. The Impreza was super light, the steering was a bit heavier than the R, which made the driving more engaging, and with the proper tires it corners like a champ. One big difference between these two cars related to performance is the sound. As you all know, all Imprezas from this year have the now outdated 2.5 liter flat 4 or boxer 4 engines that give out an iconic rumble with unequal length headers. Equal length headers sound disgusting unless you have like 700 horsepower, so I won't be talking about that in this video. Anyway, take a listen to the boxer. Shout out to William for letting me shoot his STI. Go watch that video right now. Links in the description and in the card right there. Because of the headers, the boxer sound is rough, strong, and aggressive, and you can recognize it from miles away. Personally, really like it, as I had 4 UEO back on my Impreza and ripped around in it a lot. It's just a super fun sounds and makes even a teensy weensy compact sedan feel like a gigantic diesel super truck. The P2 Rs have a 2.5 liter motor as well, but a turbocharged straight 5-cylinder that gives a smooth, harmonic, and a far better and satisfying sound in my opinion. No other car can quite sound like this, mostly because not many cars use 5-cylinder cars. Other than maybe the original Sport Quattros, Audi 5-cylinders sound a bit rough to my taste. I've never heard a Mercedes 5-cylinder diesel, and the other engine types that's somewhat similar are V10s, which just sound like 5 cylinders, except twice the loudness and pitch. Even before I got my catback, it still made a sweet purr that is immediately recognizable for those who really know the car. Take a listen to a little clip. Completely changing topic. So the next two are relatively boring compared to the previous 3 points, but very quirky ones for the Volvo. So the fourth difference is practicality. First, let me just put it out there that I'll be talking more about the V70R, not the S60R, because I've never been in one and I don't want to misrepresent the car. Same with the Subi, I'll be making comparisons with the sedan. Like I said earlier in this video, in the previous video, these cars were made for completely different markets. One's a gigantic land yacht, one's a Richard Hammond sized toy. Cargo space is an obvious difference. The Subaru Impreza sedan has a 11 cubic feet max cargo space, not including the rear seats. The V70R has 71.4 cubic feet of maximum cargo space. However, that's like comparing your lunchbox to the Milky Way galaxy, and you really shouldn't compare a wagon to a sedan, but I am doing this so anyway because content. Space isn't the only practicality. You can tow up to 3,300 pounds versus 2,000 for the Impreza. Third row seating to discipline your kids, built-in booster seats in the rear, this thing that holds your sunglasses, and in puddle lights on the mirror so you can locate your car when you're plastered at 2 AM, and so much more useless junk that'll get expensive to fix that I've talked about in the previous video. What does an Impreza do? It breaks. Finally, number 5, safety. To be honest, this is probably a very boring topic to talk about, but let's be real. Would you rather be in a head-on collision and have a bit of whiplash and a boo-boo on your elbow, or have a head-on collision and become one with your dashboard? Exactly, unless you're really into that kink for some reason. First, let's address the Takata airbag recalls. Almost every single car in existence had them if they had airbags to begin with, and even some V70Rs. However, it's pretty funny and terrifying that cars are running around with literal grenades hiding under their dashboard that shoots out shrapnel at explosive speeds. Anyway, a Hawkeye Impreza of 2006 received a 4 out of 5 star rating in the government crash testing, where the V70 had a perfect 5-star, and it's obvious why. The Impreza is pretty bare bones. Essentially, it's just a car that has as less as possible, but they somehow managed to make the chassis super safe, and has obviously the steering wheel and passenger dash airbags. When you hop in a V70R, you will notice that almost every single interior component is made to explode when in a collision. The steering wheel and dash, of course, but the windows and the arches above have curtains that blow up when you get hit. Even the seats have airbags to protect your shoulders and legs. The seats have a whiplash reduction system in them as well. Volvo is the pioneer of safety too, as Volvo's engineers, I can't speak, Volvo's engineers invented the 3-point seatbelts, so they must be proud of their reputation and take safety very seriously to this day. Before doing some research about safety, I sort of took safety in cars for granted. This really made me realize that there are so many cars out there that will absolutely kill you if you get into an accident. I'm not saying an Impreza isn't an unsafe car, because it's not. Plenty of people have survived horrifying incidents, but Volvo's features are just significantly superior, and you can feel much more comfortable and safe driving it anywhere. So that was it, as it got a bit serious at the end there. Did I trigger you? Did I miss something again? Did you eat lunch today? If so, let me know in the comments below. So that was 5 more ways owning a P2 R is just different than owning a Subaru Impreza of the same year. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. This video is so goddamn long and it would be awesome if you could like and share it with your fellow car enthusiasts. Subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated for my future uploads. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Peace.